So Tudor is one of those brands that seems to have come out of nowhere to be successful over the last few years and seems to have really taken the watch world by storm. It's a watch brand with a long and illustrious history. People think that it's a watch brand that's kind of owned by Rolex, but actually they come from the same family, so it's a kind of sister brand rather than a subsidiary of Rolex. If you're watching this video, you probably know me for my coin and stacking and collecting videos. It's very, very rare that I get to buy a new watch, but today I'm going to be unboxing a very, very special watch, a Tudor watch that's been on order for quite some time, and it is the Tudor GMT chronometer, the Tudor GMT watch, and it's a very, very exciting thing for me because I ordered this watch back in, I think, March, April time, and I was hoping that it would be delivered in June, July, but finally this week I was given the call by Watches of Switzerland to come and pick up my watch, and so let's go through and see what makes this Tudor watch so special. Before then, a quick wrist check. I'm wearing my Rolex, and this is a Submariner 116610LN. Absolutely gorgeous tool watch, also known as the Sub C with the ceramic bezel. Great watch, and but not for me at the very least a day-to-day watch. It's an expensive watch and I'm pretty scared to scratch it, and I bought this other watch, the Tudor watch, as an alternative to wear, not every day perhaps, but maybe some days. GMT watches stands for Greenwich Mean Time, long history going back to the Pan Am pilots of the 1950s, allegedly, and Rolex has a very long history of producing GMT watches, with GMT Master 2 being the current one, and this watch is the first GMT watch, the first true GMT watch that Tudor have bought out. The watch comes with a 2-year manufacturer's guarantee, and this watch has really caused something of a stir. It was obviously bought out earlier this year at the same time as the Pepsi bezel Rolex. So we had one from Rolex, one from Tudor. The Pepsi is obviously a lot more expensive on the Jubilee bracelet, and is changing hands for large sums of money on the grey market. The Tudor, maybe not quite as popular, but still with a very long waiting list. And I heard when I picked up this one that the waiting list was round about 150 items at the moment. So there's a lot of people lining up to buy one of these watches, which should mean quite a good, fairly low depreciation on the second-hand market. I don't suppose this is a real moneymaker. Watches are certainly not an investment, but this is a watch to wear and to treasure. And let's have a look at the Tudor GMT watch. It comes in this snazzy little box. I believe these used to come with more than one strap, with a fabric strap as well, but I couldn't see anything else in the box apart from the watch, so I think they probably stopped giving one of the fabric straps away, which is a bit of a shame. I kind of like the idea of the Tudor fabric strap at some stage, so I might buy one as a secondary strap for this watch. But the one I ordered is the watch on the bracelet. It comes with a riveted steel bracelet, which is a little bit different to when the Heritage Black Bay models were first launched. It was a kind of simpler affair without the kind of riveting to give it that retro look, but it really is a pretty special watch. The Pepsi dial is not quite as vivid and shiny as the Rolex version. They've used the blue colour from the Tudor Black Bay blue and the red colour from the original Heritage Black Bay kind of burgundy, put them together and you've got this aluminium dial, which is kind of very retro, more of a tool watch maybe than the shiny GMT watch, which is a bit more dressy, the Rolex one. And altogether, this is something that I knew that I would like. I've read a lot about these watches. It's exactly the kind of thing, something made very well. But the thing that took me over the edge in terms of buying this watch was really two things. One is the movement, which is really pretty special. And two is the overall value for money that this watch offers. It's obviously got a kind of heritage by itself and connected to Rolex. The snowflake hands are not maybe to everyone's taste. I happen to particularly like them. I think they're kind of chunky and magnificent and retro, and I just like everything about the look of this watch. I think it's a really, really nice watch. The movement is really very interesting and very special. It's what's called a manufacture movement. In other words, it's made in-house within the Rolex group, codename MT5652. And it's a very special movement because it actually works as a true GMT, echoing the way that the GMT Master 2 from Rolex works in terms of the jumping hour hand that you can see here. But for me, that wasn't the deciding factor. What I really like about this is that it has a 70-hour power reserve, which means that if I take it off and decide not to wear it for a day or two over the weekend, then the watch will still have power until the time on Monday morning, even though it's been sitting by my bed all weekend. So that to me is something really interesting. And even the Submariner that you saw before, that only has a power reserve of about 40 hours. So this is a big, big improvement. It's also got a silicon balance spring, 27 joules, and quite a lot of features. And let's just summarize on that movement. It is a manufacturing movement, certified Swiss chronometer, guaranteed to be accurate within just a few seconds a day. And it's just, I think, a very, very good overall value for money. I mean, I don't think there's anything really available which has this kind of pedigree that compares with this watch at this value point. And whilst there are cheaper watches around, I think that the retail price on this watch is £2,780, £2,790. At that price point, I don't think there is anything to compare with this watch. There are no true GMTs. We're not talking about GMTs which have had a base movement and then some kind of modification. We're talking about something designed as a true GMT from the ground up, with great components, with a great pedigree. Be a reasonable investment going forward. I think that at some stage there will be a price hike in these from Tudor. At the moment, they've got them at a particular point, price point, in order to help to build that market. But if you look at what's happened to the Rolex Submariner over the last few years, it's been going up and up in price. Second-hand values are very, very strong. It's a rock solid, as much of a rock solid investment as a watch can be. And there is a need for something to come in that is similar, with similar kind of attributes at that price point, which is lower down, so that regular people can stand some chance of buying one of these great tool watches. And it may be that the Tudor GMT kind of watch will also do pretty well over a period of time as the new prices go up. How does it compare with the Sub-C? It's not quite as sophisticated. It doesn't have the same sophisticated adjustments on the bracelet. The way Rolex have designed the bracelet for the Submariner is pure genius, but it has a very solid feel to it. In a way, the Submariner is a little bit smaller, thinner, lither as a watch. It's kind of hasn't got quite the same chunky masculine feel as the Tudor GMT, which is very, very similar in terms of size to the Black Bay. 41mm wide, 15mm thick, thicker than the Rolex Submariner, but that is up to the top of the sapphire crystal, so it's maybe not quite as thick as that, but it doesn't seem to be particularly thick and chunky, at least on my wrist. It doesn't seem anything totally out of place or outrageous. Maybe it is slightly more appropriate for slightly larger wrists, I don't know. You can try it on and decide for yourself. So what you've got with the Tudor GMT essentially is a very well made retro tool watch. It's not the kind of watch which anyone's going to see on your wrist and get offended or think that you're showy. It's just a pretty solid looking, very, very beautifully made diving watch that is likely to be treasured, hold its value, waterproof up to 200 meters. So it's the kind of thing that will be at home in the shower or the pool, or going diving to some extent. Although I think compared to the Submariner, I don't think it's a kind of triple lock system, doesn't have the crown guards. A lot of people might think that's an advantage, but I think it's a watch which is likely to be built on over time and achieve a significant success, as if it hasn't done already, for Tudor. I don't know how long it's going to be available at this kind of introduction price. I suspect not for very long. Let's just take a quick look before we finish at the Lume, or Lume, however you guys care to pronounce it. Let's turn the lights down low. Very, very clear with the kind of nighttime. It looks pretty good. You can see the hand going round there. I'm not really a watch collector as such. You probably won't see very many other watches on my channel, but I hope you like this little review of the Tudor Black Bay Tudor GMT. Take a look at my other videos on watches, coins and travel, and please like and subscribe.